If you're feeling the crunch of high fuel prices right now, you are definitely not alone. It's pretty much the number one reason so many of us are staring at the car market and thinking, okay, is it time to go electric or maybe a hybrid? Wait, what exactly is a plug-in hybrid again? Let's be honest, the current car market is absolutely flooded right now. We've got new tech, totally confusing jargon, and honestly more new brands popping up than we've ever seen before. It is incredibly easy to make a very expensive mistake. But don't worry, that's exactly why you're here. Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're going to completely decode the electrified vehicle landscape. We'll map out your exact options, cut through the noise, and make absolutely sure that future you does not regret your next car purchase. Okay, let's dive right into this. Here's our roadmap for today. Section 1 is climbing the hybrid tree. Section 2, plug-in versus fully electric. Section 3, matching tech to vehicle type. Section 4, navigating new car brands. And finally, Section 5, the secondhand EV market. All right, Section 1, climbing the hybrid tree. Let's start making sense of all this electrification. I want you to literally think of this like a tree. We start way down at the roots with the absolute least amount of electrical intervention. That's the mild hybrid. Then we step up to the middle branches, the traditional hybrid, which you're probably pretty familiar with. And finally, we climb all the way to the top branches with the plug-in hybrid, which basically supercharges the whole concept. Let's break these down one by one. Right at the base of our tree, we have the mild hybrid. Now, this is a system with a really tiny battery. Its main job in life is just handling stop-start traffic, making that whole process incredibly smooth using what's called a starter generator. A perfect example of this is the Toyota Hilux with its 48-volt system. It just charges up a little bit every single time you slow down. But here is the absolute key takeaway. You cannot drive a mild hybrid on electricity alone. No way. It's not going to save you a massive amount of money at the pump, and it won't radically change your driving life. It just makes things, a bit more efficient and a lot smoother. Stepping up a branch, we hit the traditional hybrid. Think of incredibly popular cars like the Nissan Qashqai or the Toyota RAV4. These have a slightly bigger battery, and they actually can drive on pure electricity, just for very short little bursts. And this brilliantly illustrates why they work so well. Imagine pushing a big, heavy box across a thick carpet. We've all been there, right? It takes a massive amount of energy just to get the thing to budge initially, but once it has a bit of momentum, it just slides. Well, cars are the exact same thing. They're big, heavy objects sitting on rubber tires. Getting them moving from a dead stop is what eats up the most fuel. So traditional hybrids use that electric motor to give you that initial heavy lifting burst of energy to get you rolling. Once you've got momentum, the internal combustion engine just takes over. And because they harvest energy every time you hit the brakes, you literally never have to plug them in. Now, Toyota and Nissan use slightly different mechanical setups to pull this off behind the scenes, but the crucial point for us is that they both successfully offset the heavy weight of the battery to save you real money on fuel. Plus, over the long term, they're fantastic options because they hold their resale value exceptionally well. You can often sell a RAV4 hybrid a year or two later for almost what you originally paid for it. It's crazy. Moving on to Section 2, plug-in versus fully electric. Let's introduce the actual plug. So here we're comparing the plug-in hybrid, or PHEV, against the fully electric vehicle. A PHEV takes that standard hybrid concept we just talked about and balloons the battery capacity by like 10 to 20 times. This is such a brilliant middle ground for a lot of people. It means you can drive short distances, say around 50 kilometers a day, entirely on electricity. You charge it up at home or at work, and you could potentially never use a single drop of fuel for your daily commute. But the magic is, when that battery runs empty, your internal combustion engine kicks right in. Boom, zero range anxiety. You don't have to worry about getting stranded at a public charger, fighting for a plug during an Easter weekend road trip. The catch? Well, you're lugging around the heavy weight of both systems, and you do have to service both a complex battery system and an internal combustion engine. Then we reach the absolute top of the electrified tree. The battery electric vehicle, or BEV. These are your full-fat, proper, pure electric cars. No internal combustion engine at all, super minimal servicing requirements, purely powered by electrons. And the variety out there right now is absolutely massive. You've got incredible options from Kia, Skoda, Tesla, BYD, seriously, so many to pick from. Plus, right now, there are significant financial incentives to look into, like fringe benefits tax exemptions and novated leasing tax benefits. Those alone can make running a pure EV incredibly cost-effective. Section 3, matching tech to vehicle type. Let's talk about finding your perfect fit. Okay, so we know the tech now, but how does that actually apply to the specific car you want to buy? Because, listen, not all tech works perfectly for every single body shape. Let's take the most popular segment right now, dual cab utes. If you are in the market for a fully electric ute, you need to tread very, very carefully. Think about it. Utes ride high off the ground, right? This gives them terrible aerodynamics, and poor aerodynamics eats up electricity super fast. On top of that, if you're using it to carry heavy loads or to a caravan, your battery capacity is going to vanish incredibly quickly. A pure electric ute, something like the Sangyong Muso EV, is totally fine for zipping around town on short trips, but for long-distance towing, it just isn't going to get the job done. And that right there is exactly why plug-in hybrids are currently shining so brightly in the dual cab segment. Take the Ford Ranger plug-in hybrid. Ford just recently announced a massive $10,000 off the entry-level price. That brings it down to an insane $62,000 drive-away. At that specific price point, the value proposition completely flips for anyone who needs a serious workhorse that can also act as an ultra-efficient daily driver. And actually, here is where it gets really, really interesting. One of the absolute greatest party tricks of a PHEV ute like the Ranger is its vehicle-to-load capability. The Ranger can output over 6 kilowatts of power directly from its battery. Just picture being out at a remote campsite or a busy work site and running all of your heavy appliances right off your ute. And what happens if the battery drains? No problem. You just flick the car on, and the internal combustion engine literally acts as a generator to keep powering your site. It is the ultimate flexibility. Quickly looking across the wider market, here are some absolute standout pairings of tech and vehicle segments available right now. First up, dual cab utes. Alongside that Ranger we just mentioned, the BYD Shark and the GWM Cannon Alpha are excellent plug-in hybrid options if you need towing and off-road capability. Next, premium SUVs. Over in this space, BMW's fully electric iX3 is practically a spaceship. It's incredibly forward-thinking with excellent energy density. The Volvo EX90 is also fantastic. And finally, value SUVs. On the more affordable end, BYD and Kia are absolutely killing it right now with aggressive pricing on models like the EV3 and EV5. Meanwhile, you've got the Chery Tiggo 9 plug-in hybrid offering explosive acceleration and a feature list that feels like it's from another planet for the price. Section 4. Navigating new car brands. Let's talk about the risks you need to look out for. So, it's a bit of a jarring question, but you absolutely have to ask it right now. What happens if the brand you just bought a shiny new car from suddenly pulls out of the country? The market today is heavily saturated with new brands that are incredibly eager to just get a foothold. And look, this isn't just some theoretical fear. Take the recent situation with XPeng right here in Australia. Out of nowhere, the local importer went into receivership. Suddenly, customers who were promised these $5,000 cashbacks were left completely empty-handed, and people who needed repairs or warranty work were stuck in absolute limbo. Now, while it looks like the parent company from China is stepping in to take over and fix it, it really highlights the immense real-world headache that can just happen to you overnight. Let's look at the stark contrast here. If you buy from an unestablished brand and they pull out, you are suddenly left with a car that has zero local spare parts. Insurers aren't going to want to touch it, and your depreciation hit will be massive. But contrast that nightmare scenario with a heavily established brand. Take Tesla, for example. Recently, an owner of a 2019 Model 3 had their high-voltage battery completely die. Because Tesla has a massive local footprint, they didn't sweat it. They simply handed the owner the keys to a loaner car, replaced the entire battery for absolutely free under their standard 8-year warranty, and had them back on the road in 2 weeks. That level of comprehensive support is exactly why you must research a brand's actual physical footprint in your country before handing over your cash. And finally, Section 5. The second-hand EV market. How to score a deal without the risk. You know, buying a second-hand EV can actually be an incredibly smart move. Think about it. Somebody else has already absorbed that massive initial depreciation hit for you. A lot of these cars are getting dumped onto the second-hand market right now simply because the original owners have maxed out their novated leasing tax savings and they're just moving on to their next car. But here is the absolute non-negotiable rule if you're doing this. Do not buy blindly. You absolutely must run detailed battery health reports to check the remaining charge cycles. Tesla, for instance, has a brilliant internal diagnostic tool you can run just to see exactly how much life is left in the pack. As long as you do your homework, you can secure an amazing car at a fraction of the cost. And very often, you'll find the balance of that original 8-year battery warranty is still totally intact. Well, we've climbed the whole hybrid tree together today. From the super smooth stop-starts of a mild hybrid to the incredible generator capabilities of a plug-in ute, all the way up to the pure, silent electric power of a BEV. We've seen just how absolutely crucial it is to match the underlying tech to your actual everyday lifestyle. And of course, we've covered the very real financial stakes of picking a car brand that's actually going to stick around to support you down the line. The options out there have truly never been better, but the need to be an informed, savvy buyer has never been higher. So, when you look at your own daily commute, your weekend adventures, and your budget, which branch of the hybrid tree truly fits your life? Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, everyone. I really hope this helps you make an empowered, confident choice for your driving future. Catch you next time.